Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
Today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about being a bee and gathering pollen, a book about a chicken that eats everything, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Julie Coraccio! Julie is an award-winning professional organizer and can teach people how to declutter their lives.
Hey Tiberius, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
You're welcome, and today we're going to start off with the video of the week, and this is going to be a buzz.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Bee Face Be a Bee. This game is made by Stealth Whale. Because it's on Roblox, you are able to play it on PC, Mac, Xbox, and even your cell phone. And it is free! You may remember Stealth Whale from their other games, Worm Face and Stomp Arena. So first off, when you start the game, you appear on a very basic island where you have a few hexagons with flowers and some numbers on them. You are supposed to collect pollen from the flowers and return it to the hive. Then you can purchase more spaces and pay the amount of pollen required. I have played a similar game a few months back, and I remember a trick that my dad did. So I only purchased the hexagons in the center and kept unlocking them all in a straight line all the way to the end tile. After you unlocked the end tile, you are rebirthed into a new island and with more value, and you have to start all over again. I did like that you are allowed to turn on helping your friends so two people can work on the same island. I give Bee Face Be a Bee 7 out of 10 stars because I really did like playing with friends and using some of the tricks that I learned from other similar games.
I think that sounds really cool, and bees are so important to the environment, so I think I might have to check it out.
Sweet.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And now it's time for the book of the week, The Glorious Gizzard of Roz. This book is written by Will Blaine. Will is a children's book author of inappropriate stories that was a guest on my show. Let me read you the back of the book. In fact, Julie, would you like to do the honors?
Absolutely. Jenny has a new pet chicken. Is there anything she won't eat? This story is a psychological thriller for kids. Follow the story of Roz, a suburban pet finding her place in the world.
Well, this is an AR book, so you don't get any extra points for reading it, but Amazon did not say what the age range is, but I would say first or second grade. So there was this chicken named Roz that belonged to Jenny, and Roz was hungry. She ate some feed and was still hungry. She saw a fly and gobbled it up, and then a worm. She got stronger and bigger, and then found a family of mice. They were tasty. Then she had a cat and a dog. Wait a second. That has to be a really big chicken to be able to do that. Okay, then she got so big that she was tearing up the town and destroying all the chicken restaurants. This is crazy. The mayor has got the army out after her, and all this stuff is going on. Then Jenny was called out to Roz, and well, Roz was asleep. All the eating was the dream of a sleeping chicken. Wow, what a crazy idea. Did you ever think about what a chicken would dream about?
Eggs?
Well, I give The Glorious Gizzard of Roz 10 out of 10 stars because I really liked the twist at the end, and I really enjoyed talking with the author about how he comes up with the ideas for his books.
I always like a book with a twist. I'll have to read it.
And now it's time for our interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Julie award-winning professional organizer and can teach people how to declutter their lives.
I'm excited to be here, and I want you to introduce me to everything I do from now on, because that was a fantabulous introduction.
Sweet. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
I love it. You have so much energy. You're so well prepared. You're a good interviewer.
Thank you. So, you're a professional organizer. Can you explain to my listeners exactly what that means?
Sure. Well, it's going to mean different things to different people. So, for instance, I might help someone declutter the garage. I might help someone organize their office, or I might help someone at their job to get systems set up so they're more productive. So, it's a bunch of different things.
Okay. How did you get started in this amazing job?
Well, the truth of the matter is I was in a job that really made me unhappy. There were a lot of crazy people. And I said, well, what can I do that I can earn money, that I'd enjoy doing, and that I'd make a difference with people? And this is what I came up with.
Nice. So is professional organizing a really good business to be in?
I think so, but I have a good skill set and I love my job. And I think that's really important no matter what you do, to have the skills and enjoy it.
So why does someone need the help of a professional organizer?
Well, maybe they're overwhelmed, they have a lot of clutter, and they walk in their house and they say, I can't find what I need. I can't find my car keys in the morning. So Tiberius is late to school and we don't want that to happen. Or maybe they're downsizing, like I'm working with my neighbor. She's going from a house into an assisted living facility. There are many different reasons. Most of the time, people are just overwhelmed and need some help.
That happened this morning when I lost my glasses and I still don't know where they are. Luckily, I have an emergency pair.
That, you know what? That is an A+ for being super organized. But if we put our glasses in the same place every time, we'll know where they are.
True. How long does it take to reorganize someone's home?
That's a great question. You know, it really depends. Someone might sit with me and work together and we blam it all out. Someone else might be a little slower and take more time. It really depends on how much stuff they have and how much they need to have organized. But I want to just tell you, I'm different than someone that works with hoarders, because hoarders are people who aren't able to let anything go. And so jobs like that can take a really long time.
Yeah. So, do you pick what stays and what goes, or does the person have to be there when you were working?
I prefer it when the person is there working beside me, because I'd never want to let something go that was important to the person. So that's how I operate. Some people say to me, hey, you know what? You just go through this and make the decision on your own.
So what happens when you leave? How does the person stay organized?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So what I do something called a clutter control plan. And so I list out everything we did. And I found that there's some hot spots for people, like they tend to get stuck in certain areas. So we come up with a plan on how to work through that. And I also give them a maintenance plan, because once I come, they still have to declutter and organize, because if they don't, it'll go back to what it was.
So what is the best part about being a professional organizer?
For me, the best part is I get to work with people. I really love my clients, and I'm making a difference in their lives. And so when they say to me, I'm less stressed, I'm happier, I'm able to pursue my dreams, that just makes me really happy.
What are the main things that professional organizing can help with?
So they can help with decluttering. So, right, if we have a bunch of stuff in the garage or attic, can help organize. So say you're in your home office like me, or your dad's in the studio, we get everything super organized. So if he has to make an editing switch, he knows where everything is. Or we can help people just let go of things that they own. They're like, you know what, I just want to live with less. Or maybe someone says, I don't have a filing system. And so coming up with something, so when someone says, hey, I can save you money on your car insurance, you say, great, wait a minute, I'm going to go catch my file and compare rates right now and see if you can save me money.
Well, what's the largest difference between just cleaning my room and hiring a professional organizer?
Well, you know, this might sound a little nutso, but you can clean your room and still have clutter, right? You might sweep and dust and do all that, but people can still have piles of stuff. So the difference is, I would come in and we would let go of all those piles and create everything to be organized for you, so you can find your glasses and anything else that you need.
Well, does it take a lot of training to be a professional organizer?
There are different levels. There are some people, like, for instance, I mentioned that work with hoarders. They need specialized training for that. I don't do that. And so you can learn on your own. You can take courses, you can take classes, and there are different levels. I also am very interested in being the best version of me. And so I do a lot of personal growth work, which allows me to bring that and when I work with my clients.
Okay, I saw you got an award for being a green organizer. You don't look green. What was that award about, and how does that make you different from other organizers?
Well, if you saw me on the ocean, I might turn green, but luckily I'm not green today. So what eco-organizing, and I was the first person when I lived in North Carolina to do this, is it's knowing your recycling laws, right? So for decluttering, we just don't throw it all in the trash. Or instead of going out and buying a container, we say, hey, I have this in my home. I can repurpose that to help me get organized. And so it's being aware, what am I bringing into my house? And so it separates me a little bit from other organizers who might just throw everything out, not think about the environment, but that's something I'm passionate about. And so I like to bring that into work.
Well, what is the hardest part about being a professional organizer?
Ooh, I think for me, the hardest part is probably that I don't have colleagues. I prefer to do everything on my own. I have worked big jobs with other people, but I think sometimes I miss that work camaraderie.
Okay, so kind of run me through it. What kind of tasks does a professional organizer have to do on a daily basis?
Oh, really good question. Well, so there are things that I have to do for my business. So for instance, that social media post, I might have to deposit a check. I do a lot of writing, so I might be writing a blog one day. Client preparation is really important too. So I have assessments that I send out, and someone sends that back. I help prepare for a client. I have my little bag of tricks so that if I need certain items, I make sure that that's always packed and prepared. So it really varies day by day, and that's something that I really enjoy.
Okay, but what is one thing that you would think would make your job easier?
Ooh, having another person, having an assistant, that would make my job much easier.
Yes. Well, what is the greatest challenge that most professional organizers are dealing with today?
Ooh, it's hard to speak for everyone, but I would say this. So for example, when I lived in North Carolina, there were a lot of organizers. So it was very important to find a niche. Like we talked about me being a green or an eco organizer. So I think that it's important for organizers to have a niche, and that also you have to think long term. As I get older, it's going to be harder for me to do the physical stuff. So I write books, I do a podcast like you, I've made affirmations, I teach classes. So I've added different things so that I'm not just doing the physical stuff.
Well, what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be a professional organizer?
I'd say go for it. If you enjoy organizing and you enjoy making a difference and working with people, you should definitely consider it. And you get to be your own boss, which is pretty cool.
True. Now, you also have a podcast, like me. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Sure. It's called Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out. So we talk about clutter in all its forms. So we might have emotional clutter, we might have mental clutter, might have clutter in our relationships. So I talk about all that, and at the end of the podcast, I give people take action so they've listened, and I'm like, this is what you can do to clear that clutter and move forward.
Okay. Well, how can someone find you and listen to your podcast?
Well, I am everywhere, as I think that I'm everywhere. I hope to be. So if you just Google Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, or you can go to my website, reawakenyourbrilliance.com, and there are links there.
Sweet. Well, so I looked at your website and saw that you hold classes and teach people how to declutter. How does that work?
Well, I do a couple different things. I have a do-it-yourself class, which is broken down into different lessons, so they can listen to it or they can watch it, and it takes them step by step how to declutter or get organized. And then I also teach with another organizer out in California, and so we do really specific subjects. Like we have one coming up on closets and then end of life organization. And so we teach the class, and then we do an hour group coaching class. So people say, hey, I don't understand this, or what would you do? And we kind of do some problem solving.
Okay. Well, what is one thing that I can do to help ensure that I have less clutter in my life?
Ooh, good question. Well, this is what I would say, especially to all your listeners that are your age. Around your birthday or the holidays, you're probably going to be getting gifts. So that is a great time to say, hey, you know what? I outgrew this toy, or I don't read this book anymore. And then you can pick a charity that you love. And if it's in good condition, you can donate it. So you've clearing the clutter and letting go of some things before more stuff comes in.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are some of the benefits for having less clutter?
Oh my gosh, you can find your glasses when you need them. So that saves you time, and then that reduces your stress. It can also save you money. It can help you be healthier. If your kitchen is decluttered and organized, you're more likely to cook and have healthy meals. You can sleep better. Lots of good reasons to declutter.
Mm-hmm. Now, you do lots of other things. Of all the services that you offer, what is the one thing that you enjoy doing the most?
Tiberius, that's like asking me who is my favorite cat. I don't know if I can answer that. I think that would be really hard. One of the things I love about that is I get to do a variety of things, so I never get tired of what I do.
Well, what is your greatest achievement while working in this field?
Well, I'd say winning 2 awards. So I won a national award for being green, and then I won a regional award in the North Carolina area. But I'd say my greatest achievement is when I help a client declutter and they are able to find peace of mind, they're able to repair relationships, when they achieve their dreams. That's what really gets me excited.
Mm-hmm. Well, who helped motivate or inspire you the most in following your dreams?
That would be my grandmother, who is no longer with us, and I'd say my mother, who sadly is no longer with us as well. And when I was in my 20s, I decided to just move to Los Angeles, and everyone thought I lost my mind. And my grandmother said, and I said, oh, but my cousin Tom, he's got a steady job. And my grandmother said, you're not Tom. Go be who you are. You can do it. And she was very supportive of me, as was my mother.
Wow. What message do you want to tell children all over the world about professional organizing?
That I think it's important that they declutter and organize, because if they don't learn these skills as kids, then they become adults that I need to work with, who some really struggle to let things go. And it's important, if you want to be successful, being organized and decluttering can have a huge part of that.
Well, what is the craziest situation that you have run into while working in your passion?
I had a husband that didn't want me there, and that was not a fun time to be in, and it was very tense. It was not a good situation, and I'm fortunate. I've been doing this since 2009. That's the worst and only time I've had a bad experience.
Well, what have you learned about yourself while doing this amazing work?
You know what? That I don't give myself enough credit. Like, for instance, I used to be deathly afraid of public speaking. I couldn't get up and say anything, and now I get paid to speak. So it has pushed me to broaden my horizons, to go out on that long limb on the tree and to go for it and say, you know what? Let's just try it. Even if it doesn't work, it's okay, and I did the effort, and I can do a lot more than I think I am capable of.
Mm-hmm. Well, I read a radio show and podcast that talks about God during my Line Strong segment. How do you include God's message in your work?
Because I talk about spiritual clutter. To me, that's really important. And spiritual clutter can be forgiveness, right? A lot of us struggle with forgiving. It can be not being grateful for all that we have, or not being happy with what we have, right? And so we think that we have to keep up with someone that has a lot of money, and so we buy a lot of possessions, but that's just filling a need. And so what is that need, and can we figure it out? But that's a super important part of what I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up? Did you always know that you were going to be organizing people's stuff?
Oh, not at all. One time I wanted to be an archaeologist so I could give my mom dinosaur bones on her birthday. And then I thought that I would be an attorney, and then I did fundraising, but I didn't think I'd do that either. So yeah, it was an archaeologist and a lawyer, and neither one happened.
Well, if you could go back 10 years and tell yourself something, what would it be?
I would tell myself that it's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out. Just keep your nose to the grindstone, keep being you, keep being authentic, and it's all going to be okay.
Okay. Well, what was the first job that you ever had?
Well, when I was growing up in West Virginia, at 13 is when you were allowed to work. Now, I did babysitting. So I'd always babysat from a young age, but at 13, I worked the concession stand at the swimming pool at a Wheeling Park. First job ever.
Lucky.
I started at $1 an hour.
But that's still pretty much. That's a lot in the olden days.
Yes, that's right. Oh, come on, Tiberius. I'm not that old.
Well, was there anything you learned from that job that helped you to be a better professional organizer?
Yes, to serve people in excellence, always.
Well, what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
The older I've gotten and the more I live life, I don't believe in mistakes. I believe they're lessons learned. I'm not perfect. I need to learn lessons. And if I don't
True.
make a mistake, then I'm never going to learn. Having said that, and I prefer to say that I'm learning a lesson, is that I saw myself as a victim. And it changed my life completely because I could own my life, take responsibility, and not blame anyone else.
So when you're not working as a professional organizer, what do you do for fun?
Ooh, escape rooms. I love to do escape rooms. I love to hike and walk and hang out with my family. And I'm a pretty good baker.
Ooh. Well, do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
I do not. Sometimes I will do a puzzle on my phone.
What about on your phone? Yes.
On my phone. But my husband loves Skyrim. So if you're a video person, you might know what that is.
I know what Skyrim is, but I just don't play it.
Okay.
Well, what is your favorite book to read?
I read a book every year called The Four Agreements. It's a really small book, but I think it has a lot of really good advice, and it reminds me of how I want to act and what my focus should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is your favorite charity that you like to support?
Animal causes and environmental causes.
Well, okay. Now, can you tell me that one story, remember, this is a kid's show, but that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about? Come on, you can tell me.
You know what? I don't know. I'm kind of boring. I don't know. But here, I will give you breaking news.
Nobody is boring.
Well, thank you. That's a very kind thing for you to say. I can't think of anything that would fall under that. But I will do breaking news here first. I just got certified for my plant medicine class, and I haven't even shared that. You're the first to know.
Wow. Okay, well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
That I love what I do, and I love making a difference in people, because when people declutter their lives and they start living their lives that makes them happy, it has an effect on all of us. And if we were all doing what we love, we'd live in a much different world.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a website or Facebook for my listeners who want to follow you?
Yes, it's reawakenyourbrilliance.com. And if they go on my website, they scroll down to the bottom, they can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, my YouTube channel, all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, what was that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
What's most important to me? What do I value the most?
Well, what is it?
Oh, I have to answer it. Family, being the best woman that I can be, and always growing and learning and becoming more of who I'm meant to be.
Wow. Well, thank you, Julia, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Absolutely. Bring it on. Let's go Math Corners.
Yes.
Mid-State Fire has been providing top-quality fire equipment services for 3 generations to the Central Florida area. Don't wait for an emergency to repair. Call Mid-State Fire today at 407-246-8855. Get your fire extinguishers and emergency lighting for both your home and businesses by visiting www.midstatefire.com. That number again is 407-246-8855.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
Thank you, Julia, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to talk about some more multi-step word problems. You know my dad loves showing me how math can be used in the real world. Today, we're going to talk about doing a cooking show. So, Mr. Smith has an online cooking show. Before he films an episode about baking the perfect round cake, he prepares his ingredients. His recipe calls for 2 1/2 cups of sugar for the cake and 1 1/4 cups of sugar for the vanilla glaze. How many 1/4 cups of scoops of sugar does he need? Well, this is a real world situation because, well, people do love to cook, like you. And cakes do use a lot of sugar. Well, first we make an equation. This one should be pretty easy. Since we are just trying to find out how many 1/4 cup scoops we need, we already know that we are going to divide by 1/4 cup. That means that we have to find the total amount of sugar needed. So we need 2 1/2 cups to the 1 1/4 cups and divide that by 1/4 cups. So 2 1/2 plus 1 1/4 is 3 3/4. So if you divide that by 1/4, let's see here. 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 3 is 15 over 4 divided by 1/4 is, drumroll please, 15! So it will require 15 scoops of sugar for him to be able to film his show. So Julie, do you now know all about solving multi-step word problems?
Absolutely, and I think your example is so great because I do a lot of cooking and baking. Although, be honest, I usually make my husband figure it out.
Well, my teacher said that I would use math every day. Do you use math while working as an award-winning professional organizer?
You know, I use a little bit of math when I'm measuring to see if things can fit, or I have to put a container, or like, for instance, I'm helping my client downsize. So we yesterday had to plan all the furniture. So I had to measure the furniture and look at the length and width of where she was moving to make sure it would fit.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for your help with Math Corners.
You're welcome.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. So this week, I was at a Predators football game and was watching the coach. Sometimes there would be a bad call and he would throw down a red flag. That means he's going to challenge the call. Now this is a risk. If he makes a challenge and loses, he also loses a timeout. So you have to be careful and be sure that you are right before you make a challenge. During the game, the other team did a challenge and the call was changed to their favor. Everyone in the stands saw the replay, and it was wrong. The coach showed leadership skills and took direction from his team and made a second challenge to reverse the reversed call. But this is hardly ever done, and it is very, very risky. But after the slow-mo video and a trip to the rule book, they reversed the decision again. And that was true leadership. So
Go
Julie.
Steelers. Sorry, I have to throw that in. Go Steelers. I'm a huge football fan.
Nice. So Julie, did you see or use leadership at all this week?
I did, and I was doing an escape room with my husband and my 2 nieces and one of their friends, and there was a math problem, Tiberius, and someone messed it up.
You should have called me.
I would have. Now that I know you're the math guy, and so they messed it up, and they got really upset, and I said, hey, we're a part of a team. It's all good. Well, let's get back to the task. Let's figure it out, and we move forward. And afterwards, because you know when you do an escape room, they can listen and watch you. And she said, that was really great that you said that. Because sometimes they have really competitive people who scream and get really angry at each other.
They have people who do that.
Right, and I don't want to be one of those people. And she said, that was great leadership.
Mm-hmm. Well, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which virtue do you think my listeners should learn about the most, and why?
Integrity, because I think it's really important to be integrity and follow your truth. And I think if people had more integrity, we'd live in a much different world.
Well, we should always try and be lion strong at everything we do, shouldn't we?
1,000%.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Julie Coraccio for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking with you today. I think we learned a lot about clutter and how we can declutter our lives.
Thanks so much for having me. I had such a blast talking with you. And if people go to reawakenyourbrilliance.com, they can find out more about me, my books, my classes, and everything. So thanks so much.
You're welcome. And also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and like and subscribe. Also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy!